course, as always, check the laptop. Choose audio feedback, of course. Time to plug the headphones on that so I'm not reverbing. Alright, and we're back. I just wanted to do a little update of all the creative stuff I've been working on. Oh, syncing data, of course you gotta do that. And yeah, a new version's available. Yes, you've been telling me this for weeks, if not months. I don't like creative in the new version of Minecraft. It doesn't move and feel the same to me. I'm happy to do survival in it, but because it's the only way you can get multiplayer anymore. You cannot connect to other people's games in this version of the game anymore. So, without further ado, I'm gonna try to do a quick creative tour, as it is February 2019, the last time I posted anything to my Minecraft playlist. Minecraft. I guess playlist is the right term. It was in 2015 or 2016. So I have what I call the Shipyard, which is under the Halo skin pack. And it's a cosmetic skin pack. It's the designs, all the materials give a more sci-fi design. So what we have here is a spaceship I've been working on forever. Kind of started from the engines and worked its way forward. Put some distance on this and we can just start from the back. So I wanted to make something big. I wanted just to have that scale, and you'd have a lot more room to work with in your world if you did a super flat, but I wanted there to be some terrain so you had a sense of scale. The outside is slowly covering it over, but not quite yet. So I've got the whole interior, the engines, the various reactors and stuff. Of course, you gotta light it up because once you close it in completely, it's no daylight shining on it. And there's stuff like catwalks and little service points. Little stairs in here where the crew can come down and diagnose. So all of these little control panels and stuff, they're paintings, and you have to play with them and constantly put them down and pick them up and put them down until you get the thing you're looking for. And you can use your signs to explain where you are. Obviously, I had to put in railings because you can kind of fall out. Oh, you can still fall out here, I guess. But it's creative, so you can just fly around. And this was like the coolant system. So, of course, the water drips through. I don't know how thick you'd have to make it for water not to drip through, but it doesn't seem to be enough of thickness. And then the doors all get a little halo texture. The main axis, like a spine hallway. Supply crates. Reactor diagnostic terminals. So those are just material blocks, I believe. A lot of that is wool. Yeah, so those things are gray wool. Lower maintenance, we were just there. Thrust nozzle diagnostics with a look down into the lights. I think that's a crafting bench. Coolant dispersal systems. upper control and lower control, where you overlook the actual liquid. FTL core diagnostics. So these little stations back here let you look right out into the engine. Up into upper sublight maintenance access. So those yellow structures in the engine, this would be like radiation-proof glass. Life support core. I think arguably there would be a lot more ways into a space, but go back out to the front of the ship. Some of the up to the more incomplete space of it, so these might just have these as like service areas. This kind of an upper storage area, I guess, because the point of these is that they are the elevators where you would get in here and ride it up to each level. It goes up to the third level as well. The ground level of the elevators is a cargo room, which is attached to the primary intake hangars. So that's one that has two small. Obviously, these don't open either, but I think I remember I was going to make one that was set in like an open position, so that once the ship is completely closed in, the hull entirely, that I can still come and go from it. And then a large access hangar with another storeroom and another elevator on this side, which is a larger cargo elevator. So then these stairs take you up to third level. There's no sign there just yet. So yes, these will be upper storage compartments. See, I mostly use its jungle planks, ends up looking like the really nice kind of metal corrugated floor. But I also prefer that it not be the ceiling at the same time, so there's 2-layer, and I use quartz for that because quartz has 3 different textures. From this kind of grid thing going on, from the sides you get the X, which makes it look like ductwork, which I like for that. But from beneath you get those little squares. So that's the approach I take to the ceiling. So now it just kind of looks like almost like tiles. It's this building, but just more science fiction. Okay, so this is the symmetry line of the ship, the spine. So yeah, I've been working away on this for a long time. I just wanted to take some nice video of it before everything gets closed in, because it would be harder to do these tours of it. So the idea is that the 6 yellow ones are like the primary thrusters, and then the small white reactors are the FTL engines, basically. They power those central 4 and kick it into light speed. And yeah, it's been a long time and I'm still not done, and started from the back, worked my way to the front, and I realized stylistically I like a bridge design that is very Star Wars, where it's like a traditional naval ship where you just have kind of a flat face. I've kind of been experimenting with that, and I've also been experimenting with like smaller ships, and that's what I'm trying to do over here. So this was the This is the start of something that I've designed on paper. So it would be a much smaller ship. And this would be the bridge, and then basically the rest of the ship is going to be above it. So it's like a lower set bridge. Just because like the Minecraft architecture doesn't really accommodate small vehicles, and this was an attempt at that, like a fighter. You want to make like a sloped canopy, like in an X-wing or something like that, and the glass, just the glass in this game doesn't really accommodate that very well. So this was an attempt at creating that, and for the sake of Minecraft, it works, but it's limiting. So these are three little spaceships I'd modeled in Lego that I've recreated in small scale in here, just using dummy materials. I think the idea was that each Lego block represented about, what was my idea there? About 2 floors, like 2 decks of a ship. So I think these ships would arguably all be about 6 decks tall. Because I had kind of standardized a couple of different engine types. So these two ships have like the same engine design essentially. And then this ship has a different one. And it is a combat vehicle because it would have weapons. This one is not, nor is this one. And a quick glance at the building I'm doing over here. Kind of wanted to go for like a big blocky thing. I haven't started to fill in the windows yet. You think it would take a long time to fill in the windows, but my plan, this will be the front of the place. I have a big atrium, and only this part would actually go up for at least the first 2 or 3 floors, and then everything else there'd be a ceiling about here. So my plan was basically to have the windows would kind of go up diagonally, so you'd have door, window, 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 but then it would be staggered either every other or like that diagonal going up through the windows would top out and then come down again. So instead of seeing, you know, 200 windows on this face of the building, you'd only see 25 to 30 or something like that. And a little stairwell for the building. I'll do this on both sides because I'm just a little obsessed with symmetry, so that is that building and the world that I call the shipyard. And I couldn't play survival in this texture. Like it's entirely a cosmetic thing. Largely in part because the items are so different. Like that's a pork chop. That's an egg. And the tools are just, I mean, like it's cosmetic. That's all it is. The swords are the Halo energy swords. The shovels look weird. The pickaxes look weird. I mean, the armor is the neat part of it, and the bow is the needler, which is neat. Flint and steel is a grenade. Diamond helmet. Ah, that's neat. Totem of Undying is a guilty spark. That's cute. These are all the potions. And the beds are just little cryo tubes. So yeah, it's a really good texture pack for doing, just for cosmetic stuff, for We're having fun and wanting things to look spacey. And that is yard. Well, that when you see elements in nature, like that's iron. It would, you might almost say that makes it better for survival because when you see those rare elements, they really stand out. Iron, iron. And while that is true, to me it's the tools. It's the tools looking so different that makes it. I would just feel. I mean, and if you only ever played survival in this texture pack, you'd get used to it. But I'm so used to the vanilla textures, so. There's my spaceship. Now I'm going to jump into what I call Sephiroth North, all influenced by my gamer tag. Because Sephiria is my survival world. I mean, I could play around it in creative if I wanted to by cloning the save, which I technically have done. It's the one called Sephiroth Surveyor. It's kind of a way to exploit it a little bit, to look for those rare resources and then just go into the survival version and tunnel directly to them. So this is kind of an update on the cathedral video I had before. I remade it, and it's actually longer in this world. Same exact idea. The interior's not as completed as the other one. A couple spots here that are need to be finished, but come outside the wall and look up at it. So if you're standing on the ground, you're looking up at this great big cathedral. Side, and it's mostly the same. I don't know if I want to cover this over. I imagine in an actual cathedral you wouldn't see your roof tiles, but because I know I have like landings in the previous one, which is a world I've now deleted. There were actual floors set in there, and it's a question of getting stairs up into it. And that's a light strip, which I always have to do because it gets really dark. The various support architecture. What do I have going on here? Just, and this is stuff that I pull out of. Whenever you find a temple, I usually just pull this stuff out of them. I don't think you can find elytra in survival without going to an end. I really wish I could though, because there's an achievement for using it. You have to do a very specific thing, which sounds difficult and probably get you killed, but still, even in peaceful survival, you can still die. It's happened. If you fall far enough, or if you drown, or if your controller's batteries die on you while you're underwater and you don't have a respiration helmet, and the time it takes you to get the new batteries into the controller is just not quick enough for your character to drown, because that happened, and that was annoying. Luckily, everything was right there where I drowned, so it wasn't as bad as the other case. Could you hit the ground and open the door, please? And it's raining. So I built this cathedral inside a structure that I call basically a mega city wall. This is how this world started. Have a massive frame around this, around all of this stuff. And this took a while, because I had to carve into the world. And obviously I know that If you launch it in survival mode and turn on monsters, they'll still spawn inside the wall. It's just meant to be stylistic. It's illumination points using burning redstone because it just burns forever. It doesn't get put out by rain. And I wanted it to be big. I was illuminating this spot for some reason. And then this idea here was this is one little secret access way wall, because in most other spots where the terrain, where there are underground chunks of terrain, I've basically sealed it up so there's no way to sneak in. Pig, you're not getting out of there easily, you know that? So go down. My idea was to put railings in, basically where these torches are. Yeah. Okay, it's not rendering right now, but cloud level. I feel like the cloud level should be maybe 30 meters higher. Because rain goes so high that building on it, like if you were to build on here, you have a piece of your building where there's just going to be clouds passing through the floor level. You can't see that well when you're inside the clouds. But yeah, that's the mega wall. And the little city structure I had started up inside it. Now, this little red piece was secondary because it is influenced by this fellow over here, which was the other thing in the previous world. Smaller scale version. I'm calling it the Gothic Pyramid. It's kind of the structure here, and the idea is that each one of these beams is 1 meter in from the next. So you can leave all this open space, and precipitation never falls into the building except for right in the middle. And you can see this on the map. So this pyramid is where I am in here right now. It's that square, and you can pretty well see the edges of the mega wall. The thing I determined between the 360 version of the game and the Xbox One version of the game, something has to be 8 blocks in one direction to appear on this map scale. And this is, as far as the newest version of the game is concerned, this is 1 to 4. In the newest version, you can take your map up to 1 to 8. And again, I'm so used to this scale that this is what I prefer. It's also kind of neat when you go up here and you look down on the pyramid, and I've got it all sculpted out inside there too. Of course, the wall kind of cuts in here a little bit. Kind of an approach, little approach structure. Get to come up the stairs. A little bit of firelight. Look out on the walls. You come up to the plateau, and you're in. Now you're in the city. A little ceremonial structure of some kind. This would be actual accommodation, I think. Some kind of building. Single line stairs, which would then go up again to the 3rd floor. Glass. I find you gotta do that a lot if you want to get daylight in your world. You gotta put glass ceilings, although I didn't think snow stayed on glass ceilings. It'll probably go away if I drop some torches up there. Right here, and also here. And a couple of the little buildings. This one is just this thing unfinished. And all of this was terrain that I've just carved down and sculpted and shaped. Because we're basically mountains right where we are here. Right here and right there. Like this whole plateau was a structure probably about as high as this thing. Another little... Where's the entrance here? Ceremonial building. I don't know. I say ceremonial. To me, this is the ceremonial one. It's almost an altar. Obviously, I haven't done this, but the idea here, if I'm creating lore in any sense, it's that these pyramids were ancient relics, and that's one that on the surface. This one that has the rest of that structure beneath it underground. And no, I have not done that, because that would take forever. But that is the world of the cathedral and the megacity wall, and there's a temple right there. I've been doing other things in this world. I'm just gonna go for a journey here. I have a bad habit of constantly making new worlds and starting new projects when I could easily just do the same world. It's the question now, was I doing anything in this world? Why do I have two map zeros? I'm trying to remember if I was doing anything here. Yeah, I was going to do something. I think this is where I was going to do the... What's going on down here? Ravine, yeah. Like a building where there's basically lava flowing down the outside walls. It has like a natural light source, so when you're inside the building, you could see the lava. There'd probably be glass on the inside. So instead of windows, you'd have lava. There'd be glass, but it would be lava, so you wouldn't actually be seeing outside. There's another temple over there. Right on the edge. Haven't made a map room either to this world. Just a little... Could do that in the cathedral, but I'd want to plan that out, so now I can do... Now that I'm here, we're going to turn north, because I know I was doing something up here. I see a second viewer, and I think I know just who that is. Alright, come on. Bit of a... It's up here somewhere. Centered on the world, I believe. Yeah. My smaller scale idea to a massive pit mine, which is basically dig to the bottom of the world from 4 access points. And then you could literally just start creating structure in the terrain around you. So, the center of the world, you've got 4 main directions. Also, the idea that you plateau out so you can have these little doorways into stuff. Little foundry style of thing. And I am doing this in a survival world. Trying to. Basically got like 1/4 of that. As far as I recall, 1/4 of it done. So that plateau forms a square at this threshold. So all of those 4 terrain chunks can become structure, basically. It just lets you preserve the surface. Use it for farmland. This is my axis light, just to illuminate. I don't think I'd done much more than that world. I can fly on over. There's a big stone slab here I could make something out of. Jungle. Desert. Alright, we are back in the core map. Come on then. But yeah, giant pyramid, massive city wall, and a cathedral. Those are the interesting parts of this world. And well, there's one other creative thing I'm doing. It's not as far along here. Loading spawn area. Alright, keep flying, keep flying. Alright, what does it look like on the map? Yeah, similar idea. Always right on the center of the world. In keeping with the idea of the Gothic pyramid. Yeah, so nowhere near as finished, and I don't know if I'm going to completely fill it in the way that pyramid is. It kind of, what would you call that? A terraced pyramid. This is meant to be a little more Warhammer Hive City inspired. So basically every one of these tiers would be a floor. Floor, 3 meters of window, next floor, and so on and so forth. I've done a bit more building downward than I have upward in terms of design. And I've got basically these access paths that go out to a fringe boundary. For the sake of Minecraft, it would have to be rails all over the place. Oh, there's a temple there. Going on, like, straight out of the world. Again, because they're not wide enough, they don't show on the map. Unless I wanted to make them 8 wide. But it goes all the way off the map. Right for now. For now, it ends at the edge of the map. I just like making things that are ridiculous in scale. Ding, 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 ding. And of course, there'd be the cloud floor, which I guess would be this floor right here, cloud floor. If you live on this floor of the hive, you're getting clouds passing through. I might even consider doing the lava illumination downflow. So instead of this gold pin, it would just be lava flowing all the way down. And then again, it cuts off a lot of the light, but that's also because I've got the daylight locked. I always do that in creative, just so I can keep what I'm doing illuminated. If you turn the daylight cycle back on, light would start to pass through and alter the shadows, but like I said, not all that much progress here, except for a little island that has been sculpted to look like a thing. So yeah, I'm taking that spinal structure and reversing it, and that goes underwater too. Of course, the stair blocks mess up water. Water ought to turn corners. And I did it in white because I knew that when you go higher up, you start to get snow on things. So it's just this massive white pyramid. That's part of why I like doing things in huge scale, is just so you can see them from the map. And someone's like, how will I know when I get there? I say, oh, you'll know. There's a point in the map where there's a square that's 1/20th the size of the map. You can't miss it. And obviously, if you wanted to do something like this in survival, you'd need 10 times as much time and 10 times as many people to get it done quickly. But anyway, that is a little creative update. And when some of this stuff is a little more finished, I may come back and do another update. Just because I haven't put one up to my YouTube in like 2 years.